Hello.
Viking Booty Hangout. How are you guys? We are late. I know it's my fault.
Yeah, no, I guess we're all tired and confused and
yeah.
It
yeah, sorry.
happens.
My
Yes.
kid was sick and I was kind of in a bubble here, not thinking about it. I did think about it yesterday, but it was just out of my mind today. So sorry about that.
No worries. We're all here now, so it's fine.
Yes. Okay. So, The Change is the book we're going to talk about today. So, I can't have this chat. So, we just start with just generally what we did think about the book. And we can just start with Ebba.
Yes. So I have about 100 pages or so left of the book. And if it goes absolutely like haywire after this, then my opinion might change. But I've liked it a lot so far. I found it like entertaining. I found it exciting, and I really want to figure out the mystery and see where it's going. And I also like the character. So in general, I like it a lot. I think maybe one point of view too many, like one character that we get to see things happen through too many, but that's sort of like the way that the story is told. So I like it a lot, but we can get into more specifics later.
Yes. Sandra?
yeah, I also have about 100 pages left in the book, but it's been really good. I've enjoyed it a lot, and there's so many good things about the book. I've talked with a lot of people about it, and one thing that I keep repeating is how nice it would be to see this as a kind of TV series, because it would fit the TV standard very good. And it could really, with these characters, they can really do kind of the crime of the week episodes in a really good way, I think. So yeah, it's really nice characters, and it's something we've never seen before. These kinds of characters and all the subjects in the book, and there's a lot of things happening that I really enjoy. It will be a nice discussion today.
Mm-hmm. Maybe I can take next, so we don't have to always me last.
Yes.
So I'm just gonna try to throw it around. Okay, I'm not sure how long I am. I'm on like the 15 chapter. It doesn't have numbers, but I kind of counted them. So I'm on the chapter on top of the world. And I'm really scared now because I didn't like this book.
That's all right.
It's fine.
And I was like, "Oh, Santi, please come and back me up." But she's in the chat, so that's good. No, it's okay too. But I thought it was really, really boring because they're just adding new characters, and we had to hear about those characters' backgrounds, and I just thought this was really, really tedious, and I couldn't. I just felt like I said to my husband, I really don't like this book, but I feel like I have to read it just because it will be a good discussion. But when you get this, she was like, why do you do this because you do give a lot of time to something if you don't like it. So I did stop reading it. So I have no idea what happens after. They are on some kind of party, I think.
Oh yeah. With the rich people.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how far, but I just no interest of. But I want to hear what you say, but I don't have no interest of really continue reading it. So yes. So Christina.
Yes, I have finished the book. I enjoyed it from start to finish. And I would say, for those of you who plan to finish it, it's a lot of juicy bits in the end. So don't stop. Maybe I will spoil you though. Sorry about that.
No, that's perfectly fine.
Yes,
Perfectly
I was
fine.
thinking a little bit along the same lines as Sandra, that I am absolutely hoping that there will be sequels with the same set of characters and set in the same kind of universe, because I thought it was brilliant actually, and I enjoyed the more välbroderade, vad säger man? Fleshing out of the backgrounds and the characters and why they were living their lives the way they were now, and all of the happenings in their background which led them up to this point where they meet for this like core event of their lives, like this new journey that they are going on together. I thought it was I like that.
Yes.
And I mean, I myself am more of a like middle-aged woman, so for me it was I mean, it's not like I see myself in the characters, but I definitely recognize traits of them, like in myself, in my own life, or in friends, female friends of mine who've had similar experience. So
yes.
And
I did like that. I did like that. I was really happy that we found, I guess the last book, not the last book, but the Pisces one, that was also an older woman. So older, but you know, middle aged. So and I do like that we just see something different. So
Yeah,
but it just wasn't really what I want. I'm just gonna
But
put
it
up
was-
something. Oh, sorry. Yes.
it was definitely more maybe gross is not the right word. I mean, this is a thriller. This is a mystery crime book with in a way that I didn't expect. So I was a little bit surprised also. It's quite grim, quite like gory.
Graphic at points.
Yes.
But I also feel like the author kind of knows when to not give too many details, which I appreciate as well. Like she won't go into too much what, at least this far, what happens to the young women who are, or young girls, I should say, who are victims of a serial killer in the small town. But I do think that like she knows when she kind of needs to cut off at one point and not show us everything, which I think is good. Yeah.
Yes, I'm just gonna put up Xanti's chat here. I have thoughts.
Oh, so we can see it on the cool.
Yes.
I'm on the phone now. My computer. Yeah, so I can't. Yeah.
You can't see it. Okay.
Do you want us to read it out for you?
She says, first, I have thoughts. I'm with Kerstin. And then I started to enjoy the book so much, but then I got bored of it. So many backstories. And I guess she replied on something that we said. Yes, that. And this, I think she's talking, she says, and it was really silly with her period. I mean, come on. She is talking about Joe's period story and her mom kind of, well, she kind of have a Carrie background kind of thing or something. I'm not sure. Okay, and then she writes, yes, I left it kind of there also because it started with her backstory as well. And I'm like, oh no, not another one.
Oh no.
And then she just says, spoil. Just spoil. It's good to have background stories, but I felt like the main story was dragging because more and more people are coming. And yes, that's what I felt, because I really want to know what happened to the murders. I was more into yes, I want to go into the thriller bit. That's why I am
invested.
No, the word you said. Förväntade mig.
Expecting.
Inspecting. Yeah, you were not expecting that. I'm kind of was expecting that and wanted to come to that, but it was like these stories, and it lost me. Yes. And then she says,
the thumbs up was for my husband just went and bought batteries for my keyboard.
Ooh,
perfect.
Yes.
good husband.
Yes, very nice, very nice.
I have a big issue with her also she means Joe and her period. she really hung up on this, and I've heard her. Hasn't she heard of the spiral or peace stub? What's the English name? I don't know. Me neither. Contraceptives. Like, come on, or get another opinion, or go get another opinion from another doctor, she means. She got one doctor's opinion, and she was like, yep, that's it. Men decided over my period. Sorry, that's not realistic at all.
Okay, so I have opinions on these opinions.
Rant off.
I
wrote so much. Sorry.
No, that was good. Awesome that you were able to share your thoughts without maybe being able to be here. So let's get the period elephant out of the room then. So one of the characters gets like massive periods from when she hits puberty and forward, and it's like one of her main like everyday issues, like how do I handle period, and no tampon is big enough, no whatever the binda is called in English is big enough, and it's always leaking and messing up her clothes and things like that. And I just thought it was kind of nice to have an issue like that be something that kind of like gives her almost like strength in the end. Like it's one that it builds her character, and it's one of those things that she feels like is so largely ignored and not understood, and I think like sure, it kind of sounds like there's something medical going on there, and the doctor ignores her, but like again, this is America, we don't know her how.
Yeah, it's not that unusual. I mean, it happens.
And like, and also like in general, like sometimes you get opinion from a doctor on something, and you may feel like, oh, I don't know, but then you sort of just accept it because it's someone who's supposed to be know these things, so you're just like accepting it. So I can kind of buy that, and in a sense, but so even though like maybe a bit too much, but I still think it was kind of interesting and nice to see something like that being used to build her character and just being a bit relatable in that way. So yeah,
so yes, she's still rude.
Yeah, probably
still writing here.
Yeah, probably she has some sort of condition, but like the doctor failed her. I don't even remember the doctor thing, but yeah.
So she was misdiagnosed the whole time. I know that because of my sister, but she got help. I think she means, I think it's endometriosis. Maybe.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. So we all know like those types of diagnoses are so often misdiagnosed as well. So yeah. But one thing, like moving away from the period, we all have lovely books now.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
should we really move on? Because I think we can talk for hours about this period.
So what tampon do you like, you guys?
Yeah, I really want to know what binda is in English now.
Right?
Sanitary pad.
Oh yeah. They should come up with a better word for that. That's lovely.
They should. They should.
What did you say? Sorry.
Sanitary pad.
Sanitary pad. Okay.
But yeah, so the characters, I have to say, like I was so thrilled, and it was just such a good time to read about females who sort of have this, or women I should say, have this adventure and mystery solving, but they're not like 20-year-olds. Like they don't discover their magical abilities at 20s. Like they're grown women. They have a lot of history, but they also Because sometimes I feel like women, when they are written, like when they hit 50, it's like, well, now it's like the end of their like life almost. Like there's no adventure story beyond 50. And I just feel like this is like, no, like they have decades left and the excitement is just started. Like this is the next chapter of their life. And I think Nessa at one point talked about something early on, and I was just like, yes, I'm here for this ride. I just thought that was so refreshing to read about, and like how hitting menopause and middle age was sort of the catalyst to them discovering all these abilities, and just it kind of made sense also. Like now, like yes, Nessa said, I like they sort of hit this phase now because they've done children or work or other things perhaps, and now they sort of hit this new exciting phase. And I just thought that was like, I like that a lot.
We did jump. I'm not sure where, or should we do world building? You just said the characters, so I was like, okay, she's going into the characters.
We were talking about like how the period was sort of like character building and part of her backstory and everything. So I was just like, I just wanted to gush a little bit about these women.
And I do agree with that. I thought that was a brilliant idea.
Yeah,
it's just I want to do I didn't want that much backstory. That's just, and it felt like, yes, we're gonna tell, and everyone except Nessa had a bad background. It was like I didn't like it. That's just.
I wouldn't say everybody had a bad background.
I felt had a background. Like every town was like.
And Nessa's background was so great because she lost her husband who died.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's so great.
Yeah, so it's not. She didn't have it. Okay, so not even she had a good background. It felt like everything just like.
But I thought it was actually quite nice. I mean, she was that we saw some different types of families, like Harriett and her husband, who chose like the career path and invested all the time in there, and they choose to not have children. Nessa, who is a widow with grown-up children, and Joe, who is married and has a younger child. So it was like very different facets of the family life. But yes, I also agree. Like when Nessa says that her powers come into effect when her life became quiet, when the children were moved out and she didn't have a husband, and she could start hearing the voices. And like Joe with her menopause and hot flashes, and that is what she's really catalyzing into her powers. I thought that was brilliant. Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, Christina, but when you talk, your camera kind of like jiggles like this. I don't know why, and it's
because I'm on a bed. Yeah.
Okay.
Just enjoy it, Kerstin.
Okay. I was like, I felt a little seasick like for a while.
I will try to be less animated.
Okay, sorry.
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. So world building. So do you want to keep? You can keep talking, Christina. World building.
World building. Well, it's kind of. I mean, it's nothing we haven't really seen before. I mean, the major part is like the little tweaks with. I mean, we've all in all cultures there are these stories about women with like special knowledge, and I mean, this can be the women that would have some kind of herbal knowledge or knew how to deliver babies or could save life. I mean, these the women that were burned as witches, that they have this little extra sense, and here we see that coming to a very real form, and I think it's done very well. I mean, there's these three roles that they have. It's the person who finds the victims, it's the person who is the protector, and it's the person who is the punisher, which are all have their separate sets of powers. So it's like a small tweak. It's like, this is what we call urban fantasy, right? When it's like in our world, but with like an extra layer. And I think it was done pretty well. I mean, it's pretty seamlessly laid on top. And I mean, we've all heard people say that they can hear dead people, and it's like, are they crazy or are they not? I mean, we can't really prove that it's not true, so maybe not so much. Yeah. So I think it was done well. It's kind of a small and established and kind of not so. It's not a big change, so it's not a big world altercation. But I think the changes that the writer has introduced is pretty well done and works well with the rest of the set. Oh, sorry. I will stop moving now.
Yeah. Sandra.
Well, yeah, I completely agree with Kristina. No, it's a really nice world to be in, and I'm the complete opposite of Kerstin and Santi, because I loved all the backstories. I usually don't really like crime investigations too much, so when it was cut off all the time and having all these backstories instead, and discussing the problematic with the patriarchy, that I just sucked it all in. I loved it, and getting to see all the different places in the world, all from the urban jungle and high up in the hierarchy in the different tall buildings to the alligator swamps. It was nice moving around in the world and getting to know everyone. So yeah, no, it was great. I just loved it.
Yes, Ebba?
Yeah. Well, I think everything's been said maybe on world building done, but what I will say, like considering like the backstories and the like multiple point of views that we had, I both enjoy it and I don't, because I can kind of see why there are too many. Like we also get to see through the eyes of the victims, like maybe like just a small chapter here and there, and we also have one side character I believe is like opens up the book and then is a few times throughout, Celeste, Harriett's kind of girlfriend. So I even though I like those parts, but I could still feel it being maybe one or two too many for like how the flow of the story was in a way, which I think is maybe what you felt, Kerstin, like there's just like one too many. Maybe we should have told this in a different way, or maybe told some backstory in conversation, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
With maybe Harriett telling something to her partners in crime here without having one of the flashbacks. I also believe that one of those flashbacks came, I didn't really quite understand the order, which maybe I was reading too fast or something, but I was like, wait, so this is before she was fired from, so there was a little bit of that also happening. But I also liked like going back to their powers and that world building aspect. I liked how people around them reacted to their powers. Like what they're doing for the most part is kind of subtle. Like Jo, for instance, is very, very strong, but she also has the possibility, like she becomes so hot that she blisters people that she touch because their skin burn in contact with hers because she's so hot. And Harriett spreads her seeds around, which grows into vines and horrible poisonous plants, but no one can quite like point the finger and say you did this, like that's you, like. And I think that was kind of clever and also made people like really suspicious, but they can't bring their pitchforks or they can't see glowing orbs and things like that. So I thought it was really clever. And I also liked how so what they meet up with a podcaster and they sort of tell their story, and the podcaster believes them and they make a program out of it. And I believe they sort of share like not maybe all of their powers, but like a lot of it. And the podcaster believes them, and then Nessa is also what do you say, people go to her and sort of shows pictures of their children, like, oh, I see you have the sight or something they call it. So, and I feel like it just feels like grounded enough where it's sort of believable, and you feel like, yeah, some people would say, oh, that's bullshit, and some would be like, well, I don't know, like, that's weird. Suddenly you have a full garden here of strange plants in a very, very short period of time. So I think that was clever and interesting, because you don't quite know where it'll go next with their powers, but still feel believable. So I like that.
Yes. I feel like I have nothing to add since I've not finished the book also. So, and I just have some questions for you. Like you talk about the podcast, was that some kind of murder investigator podcast? Is that what you're talking about? Because I think
crime podcast.
True crime, exactly. So just okay. And then was there only 3 witches, or were there more? Yes.
3.
There were 3.
3 active ones. We heard stories about Nessa's grandmother and her friend,
of course,
who were also witches. But
it's these 3 that is the main. Because I thought, because of these backstories coming, that everyone will just come and be a big convent or something. That's
ooh,
Maybe.
love it.
Yes. Okay.
But I would also mention, it is a lot of characters. And like Ebba said, I think you have 2 characters mixed up. There's Claude and there's Celeste. Those are 2 different ones. It took a while before.
Oh, really?
But I think the flashbacks are actually of Claude's. I don't think Celeste is really like a side person only, I think.
Well, Celeste,
or maybe I missed something, yeah.
I think we've had one flashback from Claude, though. Just one so far.
Who is Claude? Because this, I don't remember this name.
Well, I have a theory about.
Do you want a backstory, or do you want?
No, I don't want a backstory. I want a quick answer.
But we first met her. She is the party fixer at the party.
Okay.
Yeah,
so that's why I don't remember her. Maybe.
Yeah,
that's right where you are.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she's married to one of the most powerful, to the starter of this little peninsula. What do they call it? The culling point.
Yeah, culling point.
No, she's not the wife that was kind of attacked. No, that's not her.
That's Rosamund something.
Rosamund.
Yes.
Sorry. Okay. Yes.
And
Harding.
Yes.
Husband Spencer. I want to say Spencer.
Yes.
They mentioned
Spencer Harding, yes.
Name many times, but still I had to think really hard.
Okay. Yes. So we're going to the characters. We can start with Ebba.
Yeah. What else to say? I'm thinking if I have a favorite one. I do think Harriett is really interesting, because they've really built her up as this super mysterious plant lady, and I love that so much.
Just hoping to be like her in the future.
Yes.
Dream of it. Yes.
Goals. Like everything. So like I think she's my favorite from that point. But I think also we spend the least time in her head, so to speak, like from her point of view. At least it feels like so up to where I am, at least. So I think Nessa was I really liked Nessa, but she was a little bit, I'm not going to say sad, but she bears the most emotional brunt, I think, because she sees the girls. So reading from her point of view sort of makes you a little bit more like thoughtful and like sad for what's happening, like the horrible thing that's happening in this place. So, but I did really like Nessa. So she might be my favorite person from that sense, but Harriett would be my just like, yeah, team Harriett. But I think I need to hear what you guys are saying to sort of get the brain going a bit in terms of characters. So yeah,
I can pick up just because I so far that I've gone, and Nessa was definitely my favorite. And I also want to point out that like I'm reading the audiobook, so that's why I don't have a book here in my background. But the audiobook was really, really good. I love the narrator. She did a wonderful job. I've never heard a better narrator. Actually, it's so good that I'm just gonna search out other books she has done because she's so good. I don't know how she does it, but she does the voices like very subtle. I don't even remember her saying that Nessa was a black woman, but she made it. She was like, she really made the character live. And so I really like the audiobook from that point of view. And also just doing female or male voices. She was really, really good. The narrator. Maybe I should give her a shout out because she's so good.
I'm trying to find her name, but
title details. She's narrated by January Lavoie. Well, she's
really a fantastic
good.
name, by the way.
Yes. So, and I don't know, I just liked Nessa. She was funny and I'm not sure if I remember it correctly now. But she said something about Jesus has never have a problem with with the word fuck, and that made me laugh so hard. And I was like, I love this girl.
Yeah, but she was great. Yeah.
Yes, so she's definitely my favorite. And well, like I said, if they just had kept to the main characters and not have to do a backstory for every person they talk about, I probably had to come in because I was interested in what's happening, the mystery with the murders. So I wanted to know about that, and it couldn't keep me on.
Can't you just like skip the chapters that you don't like? If there's
maybe I can. I don't know, but how is every chapter like a one? If I jump one, I will not miss anything about the main story.
I don't think so.
If you stick to the main characters, you should be pretty fine.
How do I know if who is the? Because the chapter is just very cryptic.
Well, you get a sense of the chapters when you start listening to them or start reading them.
Oh, I guess, yes.
They have to jump into the right perspective pretty fast because they change characters so much. So I don't think you have to listen very much to realize, oh, this is about Claude, skip, or no, this is about Rosamund's perspective, skip. So
okay,
yeah.
I think some clues are brought up multiple times, so I do think like you could skip a few point of views and be fine, actually. So
yeah.
Okay. Yes. So Sandra, eller har vi
No, I have talked a lot, but not about the characters.
Not about the characters. Yes.
In this section. When it comes to favorites, Harriett is absolutely my favorite. I just want to have the courage to walk outside naked in the night gardening. That's life goal. Really. Someday in my life I will be her. That's
it's like
it's a matter of time.
Proving.
Throw it at someone's garden that you don't like.
I want the bees to hover everywhere. No, but she's definitely an interesting character, and so many aspects of her just I see myself in her a little bit, not in that capacity, but just small hints. So maybe someday we'll get there. But the other characters were great as well. As you said, Nessa is a really sweet girl, and we wouldn't have a story if it wasn't for her, because she sees the dead people. But I especially liked being in the mind of Jo. She's a little bit too fast going and headstrong sometimes, but that's her biggest characteristic. So she wouldn't be that person without those aspects. And as we talked about before, these flashes she gets, and instead of having menopause, she can absorb those and make it her own strength, and that's just so amazing. And I loved how she takes everything we get from her backstory and all the douchebags she has had to deal with, and just puts her foot down and don't take shit anymore. And it's the same with all the women that we follow. They can deal with these assholes that they are surrounded with.
Without being completely like invulnerable, like they're still people, so they still have their weaknesses and things that they worry about and maybe fail at and things like that. So which I think is
and that's also one of the things I like with all these points of views, that we get so many of them, because one of the biggest things in this book is talking about the unbalance in our society, where men can rule in such small ways. Like when we get with Harriett to her meeting, and there's just all these guys trying to sell middle-aged products to middle-aged women, and they think they know what they're doing and won't listen to a middle-aged woman get her opinion. They are just putting her down and won't listen to her at all. And it's just all these small scenes that I love with this book, that it gets us scenes for all these everyday instabilities in our society. That's really good. Yeah.
No, you're done?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For now.
Yeah. Christina?
What hasn't been said? Well, I would say Harriett is like, she's definitely the most extreme of the characters, and she really comes up. But in my view, she kind of peaks, and then, I mean, in the end, Poison Ivy from the Batman movies, like she has really good reasons for doing what she's doing, but she's definitely, mental and a criminal, and it's like,
so I love Poison Ivy.
And Harriett kind of goes there a little bit more than maybe I would identify with. I love Harriett. She's great. She's awesome. Jo is probably more like me. She's very ambitious, but she can also be impatient. But she's also, the way she lets her family grow, I think that's really good. The relationship with her husband is not very good in the beginning of the book, and it becomes really strong by the end of the book. And she goes through some pretty traumatic events in the end of the book, and she really grows. Nessa, I would say, has like the least character development in the book. I love Nessa. She's fine and she's kind. She meets a new guy and she creates a new relationship and she takes big steps. But I wouldn't say she's very different in the end of the book than she is in the beginning. But she's, of course, is a core person. Then there is a lot of side characters and you see a lot of background. But I would say that, the end of the book is very intense. A lot of the mystery solving and the action and the crime drama will happen in the end, and the reason it makes sense is because you have all the backstory. So maybe the book is a little bit like front loaded. There's too much backstory in the end, and then there's too much action in the end. Too much backstory in the beginning, and then, but it all none of it is redundant, I would say. I wouldn't say that you can miss something. But if it doesn't really matter that you understand every detail of what happens in the end, because a lot of stuff happens in the end. you should definitely skip some of the character background to get to the good bits. Yeah,
100 pages.
Staying away till one.
I hope I don't oversell it now, but but in the end, and it's like, I mean, you get quite early that Spencer Harding is a bad guy. When he dies, it's like, because he dies horribly. It's like 15% left of the book, and I'm like, what the hell is going to happen here? But there is a lot that happens after that, so it's good. The character building is good, and it's thought through, and it all pays off in the end. But if we're talking about favorites, Harriett definitely rock star. Joe probably more my soulmate person.
It'd be interesting, like before. Well, maybe I should go back. One thing with Nessa that I felt like could have maybe been done a bit better is the relationship that she gets to with Franklin, who is a detective. That one I think should have been fleshed out a bit more, and I do think we spend a lot of time on various things in the book that we've talked about, and I feel like that relationship, I would have liked to see them interact more, I think, and maybe talk a little bit more, even though like I understand the relationships from that point. I don't need more, but it just would have been nice to follow them a little bit more, perhaps, which I also think could have made maybe more things happen to Nessa, perhaps. I don't know. So that would be.
Did you get to the part where she goes to his house?
No.
Okay.
There
is a part where she is. Sorry?
Yeah. That must have happened like kind of late then, because okay. Good. That's also to look forward to.
But this wasn't a romance book per se, right?
No, not at all. There is a romance in it, and I knew that when I picked it for the for our voting, when I looked through, because it sounded really interesting and I really wanted it to work.
So you don't have to.
Sweet romance in it, and I was like, good enough for me.
And we don't have to read romance books. We have not read romance books before, so that's okay to show.
But as romance people, we might have looked like a little bit more romance on the Nessa's part. She has a romance, but we just like to see it more. And then another thing that I was kind of thinking about and wanted to sort of talk to you guys about, and that's but like one of us has read it to the end, so I mean, but if this is, because I'm getting such massive like Jeffrey Epstein vibes, like the whole thing, like you have this.
You're not wrong.
Well, there you go. And I have my suspicions about the certain character, which I feel like will be the sort of real life equivalent to someone here, and it's interesting to read, because this must have been written after Epstein. Like it just really feels like that. So it's interesting, and I'm really it'll be interesting to see where if it goes that way. But like you said, I'm not wrong then. Okay.
It's not I wouldn't say it's like I didn't even think about it. I don't think she's inspired by it. I think there's probably other stories that are more like this, but there's definitely it's definitely the organized
trafficking situation.
Yes.
I'm looking at you, Claude. I'm looking at you.
I would say, now, sorry, this is a major spoiler. I liked Claude. I thought she was a good person. But Ebba, I applaud your character judging powers, because Claude is not a nice person. Claude is a very, very bad person.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to be right, I guess.
I think I suspected a turn at every point. So I just thought everyone was villainous in small ways. So everyone had doubts. but especially since Claude had this backstory chapter where she's the victim, I would never suspect that she'd turn bad because of that. So yeah, I'm impressed.
I'll just put on my Sherlock Holmes hat here.
I would be so totally impressed if you actually had a Sherlock Holmes hat.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
And a pipe.
Yes.
My dear Watson.
Yes.
Fuck me.
Yes. Okay. Yes. So relationships. I don't know because this wasn't a romance book, so I'm not sure. I guess the relationship between the women, maybe. I don't really know. I didn't come this far, but it's something you wanted to describe from the book. That was good, bad.
I mentioned sorry.
Do it. Just sorry. No. Go on.
I mentioned the Joe and Art development, which I think is a very realistic description of a marriage. Then we see, of course, Nessa and Franklin and their budding story. But this isn't a romance book. This is absolutely true. And I mean, and then we also have our rock star Harriett, who has a whole little menagerie of partners, but none of them really a deep relationship in that way. But there's definitely action there.
Yeah, or maybe it's deep in different levels, because she's not just like she doesn't care about any of them. She still care about Celeste and Eric. They just they have their own terms for the relationships they establish with Harriett, and that's also really nice to see, because we usually don't read that as well, right? Menagerie stories and
no, I guess the closest one is that really bad book we read, the Flesh one, or what it's called, the Zombie Apocalypse.
I don't think
I missed that one. Yeah,
that's a fantasy pick. Yes,
I have it downloaded. I just haven't gotten around.
It's really, really bad. But that's about a woman who has two guys. So
yeah,
it's a lot about
they're not
DP.
zombies.
No, not with zombies. It's just it's so bad. It's so
well, if you survive the apocalypse, you deserve some action or something.
or something. Yeah, I know. It's really, really weird. Oh yes, sorry.
Did you have?
Or
did
done.
Christina
Sorry.
have more to say about?
Yeah, no. I was just gonna say it. I mean, it's not really a relationship book, but there is a few romantic relationship, and then of course it's the relationship between the women who we also see growing. And I think a lot of the relationship. It's not a relationship focused book, so we don't get much of it. But I think the ones that are described is done well.
Yeah, and it's just nice to read like a couple of supportive relationships, like they tell each other when maybe they've been out of line, and they are there for them when they need a couch to sleep on, and it's just like it was just nice and healthy for the most part. I mean, both Nessa and Joe are a bit. They don't feel like they can say everything to Harriett, and I know they like think like, what does she really know, and like what are her powers, and like I think Harriett kind of likes that they don't really know everything about her. But I like the three of them interacting, and I liked them in different situations and helping each other out, and just playing off each other. I felt that was really. It was just fun to read, I guess.
Can I interrupt just with a question? Because I thought that was very interesting. What do you mean about they couldn't tell Harriett some things?
Well, I think the sort of like the essence of Harriett's power makes her sort of otherworldly or more close to nature and harder to relate to, perhaps. And sometimes there are instances when something happens and they always look at Harriett and like, oh, did you do that? Like whales appearing when they're in a boat. There was, I can't remember, but a couple of moments where they're just like, does she know more than she's telling or not? And Harriett sort of liking that they don't quite know like the extent.
They even have one scene where they talk to each other, Joe and Nessa, and one of them says something like the lines of sometimes I'm just wondering if I should call Harriett every morning to see how the day should work out, because maybe she's psychic, maybe she's not. What am I doing with my life? Should I even go up and dress in the morning? So yeah.
And it seems, sorry, but it sort of seems to be like that's how her power, like that's just like the nature of that type of power, because there are flashbacks to when Nessa meets with interactions that Nessa has with her grandmother as a child, and there is her name Miss Ella or something, which is basically the Harriett of 30 years ago or 40 years ago or something. And Miss Ella, there is like this sort of myth or legend going on that Miss Ella served a person to an alligator or something like that. Like she and
cut him up.
Yes. And she's like, is that true, grandmother? And she's like, definitely. Yes.
Oh, right.
That's him up and served him to the alligator.
That was the Punisher of the old.
Yeah, that might have been Punisher. That may have not been Harriett. Yeah, I might have mixed things up. But anyway.
No, Harriett is the Punisher.
Harriett is the Punisher. Yes.
Yeah. So I think like her power is just a little bit more extreme, a little bit weirder than the other ones.
She's poison ivy.
Yeah. She's poison ivy.
Yes, exactly. So yeah. I don't know where. I was probably it.
Yes, and I have nothing to add. Like I was more interested how they develop, because I have not come to that part that they're not really developed any relationship. So yes, okay, the story, and I'm quite interested about the crime part of the story. So please spoil me. I want to know how. I mean, is it good, bad? Like, how does it present itself? The story. Who want to start it?
I spoke last, so I'll.
Sandra, maybe?
Leave the stage.
Well, I think, like I said earlier, crime investigation isn't really my cup of tea usually, but this actually was kind of nice to follow along, mostly because of the magic aspects and the ghosts and everything happening around the main story. But I always suspected that there should be more twists, and they never happened. It was just seemed like one straight line. We had some hints that in what direction it was going, and it followed along, especially with Spencer Harding, and even one of the first chapters where his bodyguard twists his wife out of the gym, and from the start that he's a bad guy, and it was nice, but it was everything around the main story that made it interesting for me. So yeah, I don't know what to say more actually. Take over. I'll think of something else later, maybe.
Well, the investigation kind of flounders in the beginning, doesn't it? I mean,
Oh no, you froze.
No.
Oh, you're back.
Am I here? Can you hear me?
Yes.
No. Yes. Yay. Sorry. These women, they bring out these murders and the police aren't really interested. And then the women's like, let's investigate this ourselves. And they are making no progress. They are getting no clues and nothing is happening. Yeah. And then, I mean, they talk to the podcaster person and they find this crazy lady at the police station that then disappears. So it's kind of, we find these clues and then they just turn into nothing. They just disappear.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it is frustrating. And it's also quite different way of telling a crime story. Yeah. We do find out everything in the end. You find out everything in the end. But it's hard work. And so the crime story is very slow in the beginning. And it happens quite a lot in the end as well. And there's a lot of bad guys and there's a lot of violence. I mean, I read a review that was like, this is a feminist revenge fantasy. And it is. A lot of the bad guys dies in very, very violent way. And also, Claude also kind of dies. Yeah, major spoiler. They burn the entire neighborhood to the ground. I mean, not metaphorically, literally, it's just burned to the ground.
Goodbye, Culling Point.
Yeah, no more Culling Point.
No one's gonna listen.
Yeah. But there's also the podcaster guy. They make a long episode about the podcast. They make a long podcast episode about this floundering. I mean, they know what happened, but they can't prove it, so they bring it to the podcast. And the day, and as the podcast is released, Spencer Harding obviously hears it, and then he dies. And then the podcaster dies.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the police chief makes up this crazy story where the women are the villains. So it takes a pretty big turn in the end. I mean, if you had 100 pages left and you haven't seen this yet, then I mean, it comes pretty
some
late.
things. Harding is dead, and I've seen Rocket talk on news agency.
Not the podcaster dying. I'm not.
No, that's. I think we were pretty similar in the story being about.
But this also helps, proving that he was onto something, and they find some tapes of. This is where they find out that girls keep getting almost abducted even after Spencer Harding is dead. So that's when we know that this doesn't stop with Spencer Harding. This is a lot bigger than that. So so a lot. The crime story very slow in the beginning, and a lot of stuff happens in the end. And I think it's a nice. It's almost too much in the end, because it's like, right, this guy is a bad guy. Oh, that guy is a bad guy. Oh, this one is also a bad guy, and this one is.
Wait, let me collect all the puzzle pieces.
Yeah,
I'm gonna finish it right now.
It's a bit crazy. It's a very different crime story, I would say. So the focus of the book isn't really the crime story either, and it's not relationships. So I'm not really sure
what it's about. Like you said, the feminist revenge series.
My impression when I read the book was that we had these kind of lost backstories, like from the TV series Lost, where you get some bam, bam, bam backstory. But they also had some charmed aspects where it's all magic, but they're trying to live their normal life, and then just slam on any crime investigation show on top of this. And that's kind of this story. And that's why I think it would work as a TV series, because visually it's really nice.
Absolutely. And it's very satisfying. And sorry, what did you say?
And you could stop at a lot of cliffhangers and things like that. Would make an awesome TV series. But I also feel like I feel kind of, because sometimes you can feel like when you read something and it's like, are they really gonna tie all these loose ends up? Or is this going to lead to something satisfying? And I feel confident when reading this, like it's going somewhere. Like I feel safe in that it's going somewhere satisfying and interesting, which is nice to feel, because sometimes I don't read a lot of crime. But this kind of crime seems to be right up my alley. But then I don't really know what this is.
The crime mystery does get a very satisfying end, and there's no loose ends. No loose ends.
Yeah, because they burn everything down.
Those rich assholes.
But you do get all the answers about these 3 dead girls that these women find. You understand exactly what happened to them and how they came to be where they were. Yeah.
Good.
Okay. Yeah, that's satisfying.
So I guess the last one is the ending, but I guess we already talked about that. So I don't know. Is it anything more you wanted to add? Maybe we just that you haven't said before?
No, I just think it's pretty well set up for another book. But it's satisfying as it on its own. It's not like the obvious setup for a series that we sometimes see when it's like the end of the book, the lovers are separated or whatever. It's all 3 women are pretty content. All the bad guys none of the bad guys like slipped through the net and needs to be found again. It's actually a pretty good closing of the book, I would say. It's a good ending. It's very intense. So if you enjoy like intense crime, so the end is like, it's more like a James Bond movie, but with women in superheroes instead, and explosions and cool stuff. And Harriett is an absolute menace, and there is lots of stuff going on.
Looking forward to it at the same time.
Yeah, so I think the ending was pretty good. But as I'm sorry that Kirsten and Santi didn't. I mean, it can be very heavy. It's very front loaded on the details and a lot of action in the end. So I can see how that might not be the best like layout for a book. But the end is very satisfying. So I say it's worth it.
Yeah, I'm not read the end, but I think the book as a whole has so much going for it, and especially there's so many. I never underlined anything, but it has so many quotes that's just spot on. There's a lot of things that you could just print on T-shirts or make tavlor.
Pictures on the wall,
Pictures on the print and put on the walls. So no, it's just which alley you want to walk in, if you should read this book or not, because obviously some of us loved it and some really didn't. So
it's not for everyone.
No.
Yeah, yes, of course I haven't read the ending, so I can't really say anything about it. But I think, if I remember correctly, I think this is, I don't know if I can see it here on the Goodreads page, but I think this is the author's first adult novel. I think she's written young adult before. So I hope that there's a second maybe coming out, or at the very least I look forward to seeing what she comes up with next as adult literature and not like the young adult. So it's nice to find an author like that you want to like keep track on, or keep track of.
Yeah. I think what I should like is a prequel with the grandmother and the gator lady.
Yes.
That's. Because
perfect.
I think I'm satisfied with these women after this book, but in this world, that's what I would like to see.
Yes, down for that, and
maybe there's like similar trios in other parts of the world.
Yes,
I mean,
yes, definitely.
Yes. So next hangout will be November 7th. If maybe that changes, sometimes it does, but that's
December.
No, yes. Yeah. December.
Wait, what month are we in?
You are right. I'm an idiot.
It's almost Christmas. It's so crazy.
I know.
And the Christmas decorations, they get out even before Halloween. I don't understand.
Too soon.
There we go.
Yay.
December 7th is what we aim for. And this month we are reading a comic book called Twisted Romance by Alex Campy. And I have no idea exactly what it's about, but it's going to be interesting. I've ordered it and I hope it will be here soon.
Yeah, it seems like an anthology with 4 or 5 different stories. So I think it will be nice.
A bit of a change, maybe. Like I don't think we've probably done graphic novels before.
Yes, we have.
But that must have been a while back, right?
It was.
We did both Saga, and we also did My Boyfriend is a Bear.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was fun. But I read Saga, I think, for the hangout, or I did afterwards. But yeah, that'll be fun.
But when was it the lattes and?
That's.
We'll see. That's in January.
January book then?
So I guess this is the November books. If you say this is what we read in November.
Yeah, that's
Twisted
right.
Romance. So December book is the lattice one.
Right.
Sorry, I forgot the name.
I think that's still the one that's winning right now.
Yes. Sure. I guess that's what we're deciding now, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. If it's I can't find it. Oh, whatever. It's probably that.
Yes, I think it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
How can a title like that not be? Like, come on.
Yes. So, and here are our social media or all the links. If you go to this link, you can find all our social media, and we also put up videos there and upcoming streams. So we'll appreciate if you give us a thumbs up and subscribe and follow us on social media. Yes. So that's the hang up for today, and I hope you had a fun time. We had, and we'll see you next month. Bye.